next to that, it's pretty bad. Like, this whole time, it's just so scary. And, like, I'm worried and stuff. Like, I don't know if she's gonna be saying this. I don't want to, like, I know someone whose dad died.
That half of my brain wants to stay at home and be safe, but half my brain wants to go back out and do my regular life again. So, like, I think it didn't affect me a lot, but it did also at the same time, because I'm kind of used to staying at home, but not used to staying here for months.
Oh, what's up? Hey everybody, it's Beanie Studios here, and welcome to episode 4 of the coronavirus series. Now, if you loved those facts in the beginning, you can get them on this app right here. You cannot see it, but it's right here. It's called Newsbreak, and it just updates you on all the stories of coronavirus, all the stories of just like basically anything current. You can find it right here. I'm gonna keep this short because you all know what it is. You're gonna see some interviews of not teenagers, but adults. Yes, yeah. Anywho, so yes, you are about to see interviews with adults sharing their opinions, their feelings, their innermost thoughts about coronavirus and how they've been coping with it. And without further ado, let's go.
Hello?
Right, so I'm going to be asking you a couple of questions about COVID-19, coronavirus. To start off, how has COVID-19 affected you mentally?
Mentally, I think as somebody my age, it keeps me worried about my young family.
Mm-hmm.
I feel more stress because I like to be in control of things.
Right.
I was a teacher for many years, and teachers are always in control. So I feel that I have lost a lot of control in my life over this.
Okay. So, so does it scare you about a lot of death that's happened already, and also does it scare you that you can't really leave your city because you're in Montgomery County, and that's where a lot of cases are happening right now?
It does scare me. It scares me because I have a lot of friends here, and I just heard of 2 more deaths in my county today.
Mm-hmm.
And it does bother me very much, but I can't go out. I feel crazy going out for any reason. Even I know this week I'll have to go for groceries, but I still feel like, okay, I shouldn't go out unless I absolutely have to. And it's very frightening to think of young people and old people dying from this. It's just not one group anymore.
Yeah, not anymore. I mean, now it's just like anyone can get it. So there's obviously a lot of violence in the world, but there's been a lot of racial violence towards Asian people because the virus originated in China. So does that concern you?
I have my own very, I know it's not a good theory on China, but I have fear that their president let the world go too long, and I want to believe, even though I don't want to believe, but I'm afraid he did it purposely.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like from things that I have read, because I'm Catholic and I read what the different bishops say, that maybe he was trying to let this become something of getting rid of certain people in his country, and this was a way of doing it. And of course that scares me. And oh my goodness, I know this sounds all awful, but I think of Hitler, and all these things go through my mind. Was this really a plan? I don't blame the Chinese people. I think their communist government is what could sadly be behind this, but none of us know.
So what about the American Asian people that are getting a lot of racially, they're like getting physically beat up, and there's a lot of racism going around for Asian people who live in America?
Absolutely pathetic. People are crazy for doing things like that. they had no more to do with this than me or you or anybody. Um, Again, it goes back to why sometimes the world is in the terrible place it is, because none of us show respect for each other's cultures and personalities, and the fact that we are different is what makes us so great. But people don't think about that, and for people to be being violent to people who are Asian American is just absolutely, I don't even know what to say, horrible, ridiculous. And that's just, I don't know who the people are who can even think that shallow.
Right. So, there's top hospitals everywhere, like in America and Italy, that they are running out of supplies, like ventilators. Does that frighten you?
It does, because I know there are people who need them so badly, but I think we have them.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that they have to be proportioned correctly. I was very upset with the president that said about how he has this stockpile on the national level, and he will decide. You know, you can't decide who's going to get them. You have to give them where they're needed, and then hopefully, when they're done with them, maybe as this horrible thing goes throughout our other states, they can share the ventilators that they have, because hopefully they won't need them as bad anymore as maybe a state in the Midwest or somewhere that hasn't been so violently affected by all of this, like New York and New Jersey.
Mm. So final question. Governor Wolf made like sort of a new law that you can't go outside without wearing a mask. How does that make you feel?
Weird, to be honest. But I know it's not to help me as much as I'm helping other people, but I'm willing to do it for them if they're willing to do it for me. And I just think we have to become very accepting of all of these new, protocols, I guess, in our country.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the way we have to start accepting things.
Yeah.
And I'm a person of faith, and I think, as I have to get in there, that if we all believe that we will get through this and work together and not do stupid things like blame Asian Americans, if we realize that we're all in this together, like they keep saying, but until people internalize that and believe that, you know, there is a God who is going to help us through this, that's hopefully the mindset people are going to go to.
Well, thank you so much for talking with me and Anna.
You're so welcome.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you a few questions about COVID-19, and you answer them as honestly as possible. Okay, so first off, how has this whole virus affected you mentally?
Wow, mentally. I try to stay positive about many things, but there have been days where, because of the job I have, I worry about bringing it home into the house and infecting people I care about very much. And so there have been some minor meltdowns on my part. But for the most part, we try to stay positive. We try to stay in the minute, so that we're not bogged down by. We've also turned off the news.
Mm-hmm.
It's just overwhelming to be watching the news 24/7. It's just overwhelming.
Mm-hmm. Okay. How do you feel about our economy right now?
Well, the economy is really struggling.
Mm-hmm.
I am lucky to have retired in January and picked up a part-time job as a courier for a health lab, which is what I'm doing now, and I'm able to make some money transporting lab specimens, which include the COVID-19 specimens, from the hospitals to the lab for testing.
Mm-hmm.
So for me personally, I'm okay, but I feel sorry for for the small businesses out there in particular that I was one of for 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how it's going to be a good thing for them in any way, shape, or form. The big businesses, they'll survive.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that the stimulus that the government is putting out there is the total answer. It's a nice bonus, but somewhere along the line they got to be paid back. So I don't know.
Mm-hmm. That's true. That's what's really causing this whole big debt and shortfalls and stuff in our government and our economy, basically.
Oh, we're already trillions of dollars in debt.
That is true, but now we're just going into bigger debt.
I'll be very happy to receive the money. In my opinion, it was a good idea when Mr. Wang, the presidential candidate Andrew Wang, when he proposed giving everybody $1,000, I thought that was a great idea. And now this administration has kind of stolen that idea and used it for their own benefit. And not that everybody isn't going to need some money, they are. But getting back to work will really solve a lot more than this will.
Definitely. So there's been obviously there's a lot of violence in our world, but there's been a lot of racial violence towards Asian people since the virus originated in China. How does that make you feel that everyone's just blaming Asian people, just like all Asian people?
Well, it's horrible. Any stereotypical act is just wrong. It's one thing to hold one person accountable for their actions. It's another thing to hold an entire race accountable for somebody else of that same race's actions. It's not right. It's not fair. It's definitely something that definitely needs to be different. Yeah.
Mhm. Okay. How do you what are your views on Donald Trump right now? Do you think he's handling this whole situation well?
Well, I'm not a fan of Mr. Trump.
Mhm.
I don't think he handled the initial information that was given to him very well, and he blew it off, and he didn't handle it well. And now he's trying to backpedal and show you that he shut off the travel. He shut down travel from China, but most of the people that brought it back into the States were not Chinese nationals, or they were American citizens who were in China, in Europe, in Italy, in all these different places, and they came back to the United States because they were allowed to. The American citizens were all allowed to travel freely and come back, and they brought it back with them. I don't think Mr. Trump's interest has the American people in his heart. I've been saying this about things lately, and that is that there's a difference between America and Americans. And Mr. Trump continues to talk about this ideology and this geographic location called America, but he really overlooks you and I as Americans. He doesn't really have anything that you or I or any American can go to the bank with. It's just not. He's in it for himself. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan.
Okay. How do you feel about government wolf's mask law? That we all have to wear masks now when we go outside. Does it make you feel safer, or does it stress you out a little bit?
Oh, it does not stress me out. And the way I'm looking at it is, I'm thinking of it as, I already have this virus. I don't, but I'm thinking and I don't want to give it to anybody else. I don't want to be responsible for anybody else getting sick. So I will gladly wear a mask. So if I cough in public, nobody can point a finger at me and say, hey, you were out in public and you coughed, and now people are sick because of it.
Mm-hmm.
I wear a mask when I work. I wear gloves when I work. I wear a mask when I go out to the grocery store and in public. My wife and I walk the neighborhood every day. We do not wear masks when we're more than 6 feet away from people. We don't wear them when we're walking in our own neighborhood or in our own house. But when we have to go somewhere where we are going to be closer than 6 foot in proximity to anybody else, everybody else, the supermarket in particular, I'm wearing a mask.
Mm-hmm.
I want to protect them, and I want to protect me. So I have no problem with wearing a mask.
Okay. Thank you, Mickey, so much for talking to me.
Can I just say 2 more things that I've been thinking about?
Yes.
With this. I was a florist for a lot of years, and we used to work with a lot of glitter. And anybody who's worked with glitter, whether you're doing an art project or a theater project or being a florist like I was, glitter gets on you're trying to put it on paper or with glue, but it gets on your hands, and you wipe your face, and you have glitter on your face, and you touch tools and scissors and things, and then now there's glitter on that, and on your work table, and it's on the floor, gets on your shoes.
Mm-hmm.
And this virus is much like glitter, in that no matter where you touch, you can't just. You have to wash your hands. You have to use the hand sanitizer. You have to keep your hands away from your face. You have to do all the things that they're asking you to do, because if you think of this virus as glitter, you won't have any problem going, oh my God, I have glitter on my face. The other thing is, we here in our house consider this, those hamster habitats where they have little tubes that you run from one section to another, little hamsters.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as you stay within your own hamster habitat, you're okay. Just like those hamsters are. If they go outside of their habitat, they might get eaten by the dog or the cat. They're at risk. So if we go outside of our habitat, we need to wear those masks. We need to wear those gloves. We need to wash our hands. We need to do everything else. When we're in our own habitat, with our own family, our mom and dad, my wife, myself, then, just do what you need to do there. But everybody be safe, everybody be healthy, and I'm glad to help you with this project. Thanks for asking me to do an interview.
Thank you so much for being a part of this. I'm so glad to have you.
Oh. Hang on. I apologize if I look like a hot mess. It's not recognizing my face.
There you go.
Hi.
Hi, Jalissa.
Oh, yeah. I'm on my face already.
I'm sorry.
How are you today? How are you holding up?
Not too bad. Today was a pretty good day. I didn't really do anything.
I wish I had the same response, but I didn't. I went to work. It was great.
All I did was...
to find a good spot for you.
All I really did was, chemistry homework.
How hard are these questions? Because I'm probably the most uneducated individual.
You're really not. You're...
You probably, I don't know, are you friends with me on Facebook? Yes, you are.
Yes, I am.
You've probably seen all the posts I'm making. I'm just angry. That's all I am. Angry.
You're
angry at everything.
So, to start off, how has this whole virus affected you mentally?
It's made me angrier, honestly, from everything that's been going on, from, the beginning of it being, how do I word it properly? From the start of it, because I think I was one of those people where I was trying to make it seem like it wasn't that big of a deal, because it wasn't. Well, for one, it hasn't hit our country yet at the time, and then when it did, it was only for a small percentage. And then as the more and more it started to grow, the more I came to realize, oh yeah, this is actually bigger than I thought it was going to be, or I was hoping, and it's getting progressively worse. So at this stage in my life, I'm kind of just angry about how everything is being handled, which is very poor. Well, at first it was getting handled poorly. Now I think everybody's kind of like realizing it. At least our governors. I wouldn't say much about our president, but
How do you feel about our president?
I do not like him. I never liked him since 2016. I think he is a racist. I think he is a bigot. I think he is xenophobic. I think of a lot of things. And it makes me angry that people in this day and age still support that kind of person. Back in 2016, people saw it as like an opportunity for change. And I get that. He's someone different. He's someone who's not going by the books. I get it. But now when we're in a situation where people are dying because he didn't do anything, people are still saying, he's still a good president. We should have him for another 4 years. That doesn't bode well with me because he's done nothing to show me that he's done anything good. Maybe there are a few things that he's done that are considered good, but I haven't been shown them. Maybe one or two, but like there is a whole list of other things that he's not done well in my book.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sad that people support that. Very sad.
Yeah. How do you feel about our economy right now?
It's at this point I'm not an expert on the economics of things, to be honest, but it doesn't seem like it's doing very well. Like there are a lot of people who are on unemployment, and it's very sad. I'm fortunate to not be in that boat but at the same time, it's gonna get hit really hard, and if it hasn't already, and if it's hard to really answer that question because I'm not an expert on this question, on this kind of topic, but I could assume that it's getting hit very hard, and it's like the old normal that we have is not going to be good for the economy later.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So since you do still work, is there any like weird fears or experiences you've had during this time?
Weird fears or experiences?
Like, yeah. Yeah.
Actually, yeah. Like, I'm, like, super hyper aware of, like, all the customers that are in the store, which is something I don't really like to do, but now, in this day and age now, where we have to be super careful with, like, who we get close to, who we get into contact with, it's scary, especially since one of our employees who fortunately got better, well, let me rephrase that. One of our coworkers had confirmed it. Thankfully, he's better. He's back at work. He's fine.
Oh, wow.
But it also scares me that anybody else could get the virus at any point. And it scares me that somebody could walk through the door infected, not even realize it, and then one slip up that I could do it, and I'm infected, and I don't know it. And then I could travel everywhere else, and I could infect other people. And even if I survive that, how many other people are not going to survive that? It's hard to tell. So it's, especially since I have family who's at high risk, and I don't see them very often. I just saw my mom, and I was super hyper vigilant about how close I was to her, because not only is she in healthcare as an MRI technologist, and yeah, she's not exposed to people, but she's also high risk. I don't want to get close to her because she's family. She's my mom. And then I think about my grandmother, who I hadn't seen in like maybe a month or two. I don't even know the last time I saw her, and she's stuck in her apartment cleaning, and that's all she can do. So when I'm at work, I'm super hyper aware of like all of the people that come in, like, and I'm especially worried about people constantly wearing gloves, because there's this, at first there was this mentality of like, if you wear gloves, you'll be fine. But what people don't realize is that if you're not taking your gloves off as constantly as like healthcare workers, where it's like after every single patient, how do you know you're not carrying it on your hands? You may not be carrying it on you as a person, but those gloves could have it, and you could be touching everything and anything, and somebody else could get that, and then it's still spreading. So it's scary at work sometimes. And then there are people who choose to disregard especially the new mandation that we're having, who are like, I'm not going to do it because it's against my rights, or I don't want to do this because it's not my problem. it's your problem, because even if you're not worried about someone else's health, you have to worry about your own, because it could kill you. It could kill someone in your family. So it's scary, and it's also like infuriating when people act like it's not their problem, or it's like somebody else's health is not their problem. It's hard to work. It's hard to work at right now, because I'm so worried about that, and then I'm so worried about bringing something and affecting myself, whether who I'm living with, or affecting his girlfriend, or affecting somebody else, and I don't realize it. So it's scary, but I try to get by every day.
Okay, that's good. So there's been obviously there's a lot of violence in our world, but there's been a lot of recent violence towards Asian people, which is actually what I did see on your Facebook, that a 2-year-old Asian person got stabbed, which is completely, I don't even know how to put that, like, just not even disturbing, or ridiculous. How would you put that? And how would you put this racial violence towards Asian people?
It's wrong, like 150% wrong, because it's not. Yes, it came from China. Yes,
yeah,
it infected China first. That is technically where, I guess, patient 0 came from. That doesn't mean that every single Asian American has come directly from Wuhan, China, to America, or to Italy, or to every other country that's been infected right now, has infected them. They are not responsible. It is baffling that people are using this as a reason to, like, hate someone. It's the most ridiculous thing. And to go so far as to stab an innocent child, like,
yeah.
What did that child ever do to you? Because you're making the assumption that they have the coronavirus just because they're Asian. That doesn't correlate anything. What correlates you having the coronavirus is fever, headaches, body aches. There's a plethora of other ways to tell, like, if somebody has the virus, not just because they look Asian. Mm-hmm. And not every Asian person is Chinese. And not every Asian person comes from Asia.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's so sad, and it's so, like, infuriating when people just use that as an excuse to say, oh, they're Chinese, it's their fault that the coronavirus came. It's not. It's not intentional. There's nowhere that I've seen, as of this date, China intentions the coronavirus to spread, or they want to intentionally kill everybody. You have to be a madman to want to kill the entire world. Like, what is the purpose of that? A. And B, it's just, I don't know, it's hard to really say, but at the same time, it's 100% wrong. Like, if you're physically attacking somebody just because they're Asian American, solely because of the virus, and your excuse is you're scared, that's not you being scared. That's just you using the coronavirus and Asian Americans as an excuse to hate. Mm-hmm. And it's disgusting. And I have no sympathy for it at all.
So, final question. Information as you know, keeps changing, like, on the news and stuff, which makes me believe that it's not really an age thing anymore about, you know, who can get the virus. You know, older people, they say, like, kids are immune to it, but I don't really believe that anymore. So what do you think?
It's hard to say, because from my understanding, the fatality rate of the virus is more than the flu, but at the same time, it's still extremely low. So I think maybe it's around, I could be wrong, maybe 2% fatality rate. So yes, there is a lot of people dying from it, but the majority are surviving it. And the people who are dying from it, as far as I know, are autoimmune, have compromised immune systems, who are old age. But yes, there are people who can die from not having any health complications. You've had adults, 21, perfectly healthy athletes just drop dead from the virus. It all depends on the I'm assuming it depends on all the severity of how your body reacts to it, and not everybody's body reacts the same. Some people can handle it. Some people can handle the pressure and they can do everything to combat it, and other people just can't.